Everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Leadership Satsang. I am your leadership coach, Yukti Kapoor Mehndiratta, welcoming you very, very warmly to another very important insight on resilience. Resilience is our ability to bounce back, and we can't always, depend upon our knack to be resilient. We need to develop the skill of resilience so that when the lowest low hits us, we know how to come back to life, how to bounce back from the toughest situations that we might be facing in life. And we will. As they say, after every high, there is a low, but after every low, that doesn't have to be a high unless you have prepared yourself to get back. It doesn't just follow by default. There is an element of design that needs to be embedded for us to deal with our lows so that we can come back to another high, this time maybe higher than the last high we have enjoyed and celebrated. Very important learning, and I'm very, very thankful to you all for joining me live for this lesson, which will be enhanced and a lot more value will be added by our very special guest today. But before I bring him up on the screen, let us bring ourselves into this moment completely. As always, we will chant Om together and use the vibrations that we will create to bring ourselves completely here, right now. A lot has happened in the day, a lot will happen after this session, but for now, it's your me time. And I want you to absolutely indulge in this as your own time, your me time. So let's prepare ourselves. Please sit comfortably wherever you are. Let me adjust myself as well and ensure that your spine is straight, your shoulders are relaxed. Take a nice deep breath in and breathe out. And breathe in once again. And with the next breath in, please close your eyes. Relax. Take another deep breath in. And gently breathe out. And with the next breath, we will chant Om together 5 times. If possible, chant it out loud in your own space so that you can feel the vibrations that you create with this beautiful universal chant. Let's do it together. Take a nice deep breath in. Om. 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 Shanti. 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 And whenever you're ready, please rub your palms together and gently place them on your eyes and face, the neck, and your entire body, and slowly come back. And as you do, tell me where you are right now. How are you feeling in this moment? Are you here with me? Then say, with you from Chennai, with you from Pondicherry, with you from Lucknow, or whichever part of the world you're in right now. Let's just have that in the chat so that I can welcome you all to our session today. Thank you so much for joining in, Prem Raj, Indiran. Thank you, Anand, for being here. Wonderful, fantastic. So good to have all of you joining in live. Let's have a with you and your location. And as you put that in the comments, allow me to welcome the best person I could think of for today's topic. We're talking about resilience. So we needed to have someone who's walked the talk, someone who's not going to just share some more knowledge, but also share with us what has helped him to apply what he knows and has known about resilience. So welcome, Neeraj Shah. Welcome, welcome. Clap, clap, clap. Welcome, everybody. Please join me to welcome Neeraj
Thank you.
on this episode of Leadership Satsang. First of all, I'm very grateful to you, Neeraj, for really being a call away for me and very humbly accepting the invitation at a very short notice. I know you've just landed back, and here you are, talking to us with the intention to add value to all our live audience and followers. Thank you so much, Neeraj.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
I was just sharing with Neeraj that I'm not going to spend any time introducing you because people know you more than they know me on LinkedIn. So, so we know he's the mastermind behind Titan Masterminds, and it's a platform that I think you curated about 9 years back. And this is followed by a huge success that you brought in with BNI, and you made it to be what it is in the country today, and that in itself is a story to tell. And I think after that, you've very passionately added value and tried your best to contribute towards the growth of many MSMEs and SME founders and business owners. And I often shared with my mentees and coaches that I wish I had the sense, or what do I say, the understanding of the importance of mentors. After you leave the safe space of school and college, when you don't have teachers to look up to, you need to kind of really look out for people who can help you to get to your next level much faster. And that's what we do as our role as a mentor or a coach. So I'm sure many people pass on the credit of their success to you, Neeraj, and thank you for doing the amazing work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I'm only paying it forward. I stand on shoulders of giants that have come before me.
Thank you. I absolutely get what you're saying, and that's humility once again. So let's kind of straight dive into a very, very important aspect of life, Neeraj. No matter who you talk about, no matter how high you have been in your life and the success that you and I have achieved, or anyone for that matter, there are times when life kind of throws you back, just throws you hard, and you don't see it coming. And often you tell yourself that, ये मेरे साथ नहीं होगा ऐसा, this is not my story. I can feel for other people, but मेरे साथ ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता है. And before you know, there is something down the corner and that hits you that you're unprepared for. And so I believe that preparation is such an important aspect of dealing with life, and not waiting for it to hit you hard to then learn the lessons that can help you revive, but to really be prepared and more proactive in terms of what does it take to build that resilience, the ability to bounce back, which is needed as much as in professional space. It's needed in personal space as well. You never know like what's in store for you. So if you could share a little bit about any aspect of your life you're comfortable starting with, where you felt that something hit you from nowhere, you didn't see it coming, and what helped you to really bounce back.
So I'd say I have two very specific events that I can think of. One is personal, and the other one is professional. So I think it covers the gamut of the two that you were saying. And I really like how you introduced the subject, that there is a particular way in which you can prepare. Resilience is not something that you wish for, or you'll figure it out along the way. Yes, you can do that, but if you are prepared and proactive, then you will have a game plan, because there are definitely chances that life will throw you a curveball. And it's how you react to the curveball. So talking about curveballs, the first one was that I must have been around 30. And I'd ended up marrying the woman of my dreams. I'd written about her and manifested her into
Wow.
my life. And then suddenly, in one fell swoop, in a very tragic incident, which was a car hijacking, and I was driving the car, and my wife was in the passenger seat next to me. We got surrounded by, I don't know, some 12 gunmen, and they opened fire. And unfortunately, my wife passed away in that particular moment. I was
Certainly.
lucky. I was lucky to be alive myself. There were about 13 bullets that went through the car. So if you saw the car, you would think, how am I alive? So when I think back to such events, and um, I went into such shock that I think for the next 3 weeks I was in shock. I mean, hardly, I couldn't even taste food. Imagine, like you've been in an accident and you're in a shock,
Hmm.
but that wears off. This did not wear off. And this continued for, 3 weeks. And then, within 3 weeks, I made a decision to move on. And I decided to move from Kenya back to the UK, move to London, and then kind of continue my um, journey of healing. And what I would say is that as I went and undertook this, there was something which was underlying it, which was guiding me. Because at that point in time, it was such an event that very few people, or if anyone, could actually help me at that point in time.
Sure.
So I went within, and it was my intuition that actually started guiding me in terms of what next step to be able to take. So I think the first thing is that, when you are in difficult situations like this, it's very important to actually go within, still your mind, and follow your intuition. And it kind of happened initially. There was a book that was by my bedside that my wife had been reading called Conversations with God. And
Beautiful.
through that, it's like, you know, uh, at that time, I didn't know what the book was about, but something kind of prompted me to kind of pick it up, and I began to read it. And, this unfolded and it started guiding me. So I think, following your intuition is very important. And I think the universe is conspiring to help you along the way. But you have to be open and aware that the universe is trying to help you.
Yes.
Um, the second thing I would say to you is that um, it is so important that you do things according to your purpose. And I feel that whatever I was doing, I was in our family businesses, which were large multi-million dollar businesses, but I didn't actually want to be in that business. I felt very constricted.
Hmm.
And I felt I had a different path, but I didn't have the courage to follow through with it. And I think there's a wonderful Mark Twain quote about purpose, okay, which says that there are two important dates in a man's life. The first one is the day that he's born, and the second one is the day he discovers why he was born. So, in that moment, as I began to follow my intuition, I think my purpose began to unfold. And it's so important that you know why you are here. And as soon as it is possible, to begin to actually follow that path of purpose, because if you don't do that, then life will keep throwing you the curveballs
Hmm.
that because it's almost saying, hey, you're going this way, but you're supposed to be going here. Let me bring you back. And as you go further and further away from your purpose, I think it's um life is even, more forceful in helping you come back, because uh, and I don't know if you believe in something like this, but I certainly do, having had gone through this. And I think there's a wonderful question which people always ask, what's my purpose in life? And the answer that I have come to after these many years is that the purpose of life is to live a life of purpose. And it's so important that you've got to find what is that purpose. And I would have discovered that maybe when I was at the age of 6, when my parents had gone off on a trip. My father was in the commodities business, so he had gone on an international trip and taken my mom as well with. And I said, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to miss school.
Wow, you said
I was a
that?
bit,
How many kids say that?
I don't know. And I was like, no, I'm gonna stay here with my grandparents, and and it was so funny. I came back home, I think the first day that they weren't there. And I always used to study with my mom, and we used to read some Peter and Jane books. And so I thought, okay, my mom's not there, I'm gonna go to my grandmother. And so I went there, and I realized that, oh, she didn't actually know how to read or write English. So I was very upset for, I think, 2 days. And then I don't know, again, something within me just said, you know what, it's okay. Mom's taught you, you can teach by, it was,
Right.
that's what I used to call my grandmother. And I ended up teaching her how to read and write English. And it was amazing at the age of 6. I was able to do that, but I didn't have the courage to then follow that. Society had its, particular path, and I was the eldest in the family, and I was expected to take over the family business. So there were those particular pressures that were there. Uh, and when this particular incident happened, I just decided, okay, I'm going to go and find my own path. I don't know what that path is right now, but to have that courage to be able to follow that path. Because I felt that I had lost everything in that particular moment in time. And one of the realizations I came to is that when you love someone very deeply, your identity is also coming from there. When they're no longer there, it's like there's a piece of you missing. You're looking in the mirror, but not able to see your full self. And that is what was happening to me. And then I realized, okay, I'm going to go and find these answers. And I went to the UK, and then I continued on to Hawaii because there was a particular seminar by Tony Robbins called Life Mastery. And it was a 10-day event, and it happened in September 2001. And this incident happened in, I think, May 2001. So imagine, I've been through this situation, and then 9/11 happens while we are there. There's about 2,000 participants in Hawaii from all over the world. About 500 people were from New York.
Wow. Okay.
And Tony Robbins takes us through this particular, um, I don't know, intervention, if you would call it. And he took someone who was from Pakistan, who said that, I could have been one of these people who blew up the plane. And then he took this other person who was Jewish and was from New York, literally lost family in that. And then somehow he got these two people together and completely changed the perspective. Eventually, those two people ended up creating a movement called Passion in Action for Peace. And they traveled the world.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah, talking about, uh, how to bring about peace. And, a couple of hours before, they were ready to literally, kill each other. it was that intense. So in that point in time, I realized that it's very important. We are meaning making machines. We're
Mm,
making meaning of everything that is happening to us,
mm,
whether it is good or bad. And we have to realize that whatever meaning we decide to give is going to have a big impact upon how we see that and how we feel about that particular situation. So if you are going to anyway make up some meaning, why not make up some positive meaning for the event?
yeah. Yeah. So well said, Neeraj. I mean, I was so glued on to living through the moments that you described so beautifully. And I think so is Prakash and Divyendu and Khalid and everybody who's joined us live. And I think this is a real essence of what resilience means, to be able to think of going for a workshop and bounce back after having lost someone who's a part of your identity. It is not so easy to recover from that. And you talked about 3 weeks. I mean, I know people personally, unfortunately, who are just into this so hard bound shell that they refuse to even peep out of it. And within, as much as it's suffocating, they believe that that's their way to honor the love they felt for that person. That's their way to show how incomplete they are without this someone. And I think the best tribute that you can pay to somebody you love is to continue living, right? Is to bounce back, is to live for a larger purpose, like live for others, live beyond just your own materialistic needs, which probably is where we all start in one way or another. But not many of us can really live life with purpose, as you rightly said. And you were sharing your story, and I could see so much of my own in yours. Being the eldest is something we share in common. Teaching people very early on in life, so I picked up my house help. She had no option but to like study every day for an hour with me, and slowly she started growing fond of it. But I felt how self-serving it was for me to be able to serve someone else with whatever I could, whatever I knew, especially when it's about experiences or knowledge. So you were saying something, Neeraj. I think that's where I saw my story, and I saw how
So,
eventually the
so I,
dots
I wanted to
connect.
just offer a very profound insight, especially in relation to grief. So when we love someone, very deeply, our identity is invested. So when they're not there, it's like there's a part of us missing. So then how do you end up honoring the person and still living? Okay, is the big question. And the insight that I found was this, that I made a list of all the things that I loved and admired about my wife. Okay.
Mhm.
And then I realized actually those were the things that I aspired to myself as well. So then I started to think, what if I every day could live those core values, somehow express those core character traits, values in my day-to-day life? Then what would happen is that the best of that person is living through me.
Mhm.
But at that moment in time, I'm able to even honor them, but I'm able to also live a very incredible and a full life. And I think that insight allowed me to really move forward in a way where I was then able to make a commitment to say that, yes, I'm going to move forward and impact others just in the way that my wife Sheetal
Mhm.
had done at that point in time. Um,
Beautiful.
Another couple of things that I want to bring to the table is as follows, which is mindset and physiology. So,
Mhm.
when we talk about those two things, people don't see that they are interrelated, okay?
Mhm.
But they're very interrelated. And there was an incident maybe when I was back in London, and um, maybe about 10 days since I would have come to London, a friend of mine said, look, I don't know what to say to you, but I was just thinking about you and wanted to spend some time with you. And my sister and I are going to go to the golf range and hit a few golf balls. So would you like to come? And I'd never played golf ever before. In fact, never held a club even. So it was very interesting. And I just said somehow yes, again, following my intuition. And he, showed me how to hit a golf ball. And I remember holding it and then taking a swing. And, like nothing happened, like the ball was still where it was. And, I had taken the swing and completely missed it. Okay. So then he said to me, no, 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 you've got to, you've got to have your complete focus on it. Okay. So, I want you to look at the ball on the tee. Okay. And, he kind of held my head there like that and said, you have to keep it down. Okay. And I know the natural thing is for you to want to lift your head up and kind of see it go. But no, you have to completely focus on it. Otherwise, you will not be able to hit it. In fact, you're missing the ball because you are not seeing the ball. And I thought that's interesting. And I said, okay, let's see what happens if I do that. So I kind of lined up and kept on really looking at the ball, and then I hit this and I hit this amazing drive. And this ball just went like wow, there was this beautiful sound that came out, and the ball just went up in the air, and it was like a perfect drive. And I had never ever hit a golf ball before. But I want to tell you something which was even more amazing than that, which I came to realize is that in that moment, I was so involved in doing what I was doing, and I was so fully present that was the first time that in that moment I forgot what had happened. And what was I doing? I had my focus on a very specific thing, and I was using my physiology completely. I had to completely, my entire body, my senses were in the present.
Yes.
And we have to be present to be aware of the gifts and guidance that is there, that is going to help you navigate this challenging moment.
Absolutely.
You can't be all wrapped up in your head. And that's what most people are. They're reliving that moment as if it is happening over and over and over again. And look, the mind does not know anything different. And therefore, in that moment, it is as if that thing is happening again and again and again.
Yes.
And you are going to go into that, shock or whatever it is. And you are going to be in the most unresourceful state possible. And then if you become present, and this was a simple way in which you could end up doing, then what will happen is that suddenly your awareness opens up. And it's only when your awareness opens up that you can give resilience a chance. You can give new perspectives a chance. So focus and physiology are super important.
True. Very interesting perspective here. So we have this community that I nurture on WhatsApp. Neeraj, I talked to you briefly about it. It's called Mindful Masterminds. And these are people who are like genuine lifelong learners, and their intention is to keep improving and becoming a better version of themselves as leaders to serve people better. So every month we learn a new skill. And this month, our focus has been on resilience. And when I was talking about some of the techniques that can be practiced before you hit your lowest low, I felt the need to put out a disclaimer to say that, it's going to sound a bit like theory. And some part of you is going to challenge that to say, hey, you know what, when things are bad, when things go south, you don't remember theory. But, and I believe, and I would love your thoughts on this, Neeraj, I think that whatever we have mastered till date has been a function of understanding the theory behind it first, right? Whether it was a language in which we speak or the car we drive or just about anything that we do, there is some bit of learning that needs to happen before you practice it enough to master it, or before you create your subconscious power or memory to act accordingly. So ABCD, a very, very, very popular way to deal with resilience, is one of the techniques that I shared with them, saying that, if you are in a state of denial, if you're not going to accept what has happened, if you're not going to adapt to what has happened, then there is no way you will turn around it. You can't walk around it at all. You're just so in the face of the event that you are not able to see that it's happened, and denial is not going to show you the way out, right? And then comes your own belief about what is and what can be. That's the B. And the C is connection, like bringing in that support system, that network, right? The universe that you talked about, really, that is the support that we need to get out of the darkest corners that we are pushed into sometimes. And lastly is D, the determination to bounce back. Like, and that's your internal drive, your determination to come back, come back
Mm,
to life and live
mm,
another day.
mm.
And you might not be very clear about the reason why you choose to live another day, despite
Yes.
all that has happened to you, which looks so big, as if nobody else has seen anything worse than that. But as they say, दुनिया में कितना गम है, मेरा गम कितना कम है. बट वो दुनिया का गम समझने के बाद ही समझ में आता है, नहीं तो अपना गम इतना बड़ा लगता है कि इससे बुरा तो कुछ हो ही नहीं सकता है, right?
Mm,
So if you don't bring in the determination to bounce back, then no amount of connection support can help. So when you look at this technique, as much as this is theory, the
mm,
way to practice is to really go back into your life in times when you took way too long to come out of the situation, and
mm,
see if this knowledge or this theory could have helped you recover faster. And the more you think about it in retrospect, the easier it gets for us to bring it into application, right? Like really practice
mm,
it when the
mm,
times are tough, when you are not in a position to consume or absorb any new information. Like, you're not in that position to absorb new information. You can't be sitting in a webinar in that moment. You need to do
mm,
some work that helps you to get to that webinar. and
mm.
and that is some bit of theory. So I really want to put this out, since we're talking about it, that let's not resist or kind of push away or shove away theory that we have not learned, practiced, because there is no other way for us to be proactively prepared for anything in life, including resilience. What are your thoughts on that? And with that, maybe we'll close. We've gone beyond the time,
Sure,
but this is
sure,
so
sure,
so
sure.
interesting. Yeah.
So I will say, with regard to the last point, which was determination, you have to be determined within to want to, move beyond or integrate this particular event, and then build yourself, as a stepping stone. There've been two quotes that have really helped me, and I'll kind of, those have been like, Robin Sharma talks about a brain tattoo, and these are tattooed on my brain for sure. One is this, which is, with pressure, gold turns into diamonds. The more intense the pressure, the bigger the diamond.
Beautiful.
So, from the time I was in university, everyone would write happy birthday messages. I would write this particular message in a kind of circular form. Okay. So I would know when the person got to my particular quote, because then, I would see them turning the card.
Yeah, worth the
But
effort for sure.
so so that was a sneaky little way of me, but it was a complete pattern interrupt, and I just, for some reason, that was a very powerful saying for me. So I was feeling that um nothing is going to be put in front of me that I cannot handle somehow, and the more intense the pressure, there is going to be a bigger diamond.
Yeah.
So I just have to push through that somehow, and find that bigger diamond. And one of the other quotes that really helped me in this particular point is this: that with every adversity comes the seed of a greater or equal benefit. Now, that was the original quote, but I would add these few words last, but it's up to you to water the seed. Because if you
True.
don't water the seed,
Yes.
it is not going to sprout.
Yes.
Uh, so you will have to take some action. You cannot be kind of a stationary and, oh, this is just happening to me and, I'm not involved. So those are, I think, the two things that have ended up helping me and, to really build this solid mindset. And, that's allowed me to recover from things that, I know would have wiped others out. They wouldn't have been able to use those as stepping stones, but I was able to use them as stepping stones. And, that's how, I ended up moving to India and starting BNI. I wouldn't have had the courage and the foresight to be able to do that had I not been through that experience.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Neeraj. How I would have loved to just continue talking to you about this. We've only got started, but that's all the time we have. And thank you for making time to share such profound learning, from your own experiences, your own life. And I have no doubt it has helped and served so many people who are listening to us right now, who will probably go through this later on. So thank you so much for opening up and sharing so much with us and helping us learn the power of purpose and the power of intention. And I'm sure by the end of this discussion, people will sit and reflect upon what is the purpose that drives them, what is the purpose that makes their life worth living. So thank you for bringing that message out. It means a lot, Neeraj. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. My
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining in live. Thank you, Malar, Prakash, Indiran, Manmohan, Satish, Siji, and everybody who's joined us live. Means a lot. Shaman Kumar, good to see you here after some time. Thank you. If you have any questions, which you might, you know that the last week of every month is an open house. It's an open Q&A. So BIO, bring it on. Ask your questions, and I'll be right here sharp at 8 o'clock next Tuesday to take them up and do my best to serve you with a response to your question. Till then, please take very good care of yourself. I will see you real soon. God bless you all. Thank you.